Conductor score stolen. Extra. 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 Read all about it. Extra. Extra. Read all about it. Conductor score stolen. Extra.
Who could have taken my music? Soon, the whole city will know. How could my music have disappeared? If I can't find it by tomorrow, the premiere will come to nothing. I must find the music.
An interval is defined as the distance between two notes. Every melody is a sequence of intervals. Every interval has a specific numerical name. The interval between C and G is a fifth. Using the C major scale as an example, We will now consider the 8 most important intervals with C as the root. All of these intervals have numerical names, similar to the 5th we have already seen. Naturally, intervals can also be constructed from a higher note to a lower note. It is the distance that is being defined, not the direction.
Now click on the blue numbers to see the interval being built from the higher to the lower note.
Upon closer consideration, you will see that the second between C and D is a whole step, whereas the second between E and F is only a half step. For this reason, we differentiate between a major second and a minor second. The following intervals, the 3rd, 6th, and 7th, also exist in major and minor. The minor third contains 3 half steps, the major third 4 half steps. The major 6th contains 9 half steps. The minor 6th has only 8 half steps. The major 7th contains 11 half steps. The minor 7th has only 10. Some intervals are known as perfect. In this category, you will find the unison, the 4th, the 5th, and the octave. Naturally, it is possible to form an interval from any note to any other note. You only have to remember to count the first note along with the rest. In some cultures, there are intervals even smaller than half steps. However, in our Western culture, the standard interval is the half step. The half step is the smallest distance between 2 notes. The step-by-step arrangement of notes is called a scale. The 8th note in the series is also the first note of the next scale. If only the white keys, or basic tones, are played, the result is a C major scale. What is not immediately evident on the staff, you can see on the keyboard. The intervals E. Regardless of which note you begin a scale on, the order of half and whole steps must be maintained. The 3rd and 4th notes must be a half step apart, as well as the 7th and 8th. The other notes are in whole step increments to each other. The key thing to remember about a major scale is the order of whole and half steps. When starting a scale on a note other than C, the order of half and whole steps must still be followed. To do this, black keys are utilized instead of the white keys in some cases. In order to get an overview of the relationship of keys to one another, we use the so-called circle of fifths. The keys are arranged in a circle according to their number of sharps or flats. The keys with sharps progress clockwise, while the keys with flats are listed counterclockwise around the circle. The keyboard of a modern piano consists of 53 white and 35 black keys. On the right side, the pitch gets higher, and on the left side, lower. Approximately in the middle of the piano keyboard, and to the left of the 2 black keys, is middle C. This C is also referred to as one-line C. If you progress 7 white keys to the right or left of middle C, you will land on the next C. Continuing in this way, you will find a total of 8 different Cs in different pitches on the keyboard. This can be applied to all the notes on the piano. The space or interval between 2 of the same notes is called an octave. We use the first 7 letters of the alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, for naming the 7 basic notes, which are the white keys. In some countries, like Germany, The B is replaced with an H, resulting in A, H, C, D, E, F, G. Normally, we start counting the white keys with C, resulting in the order C, D, E, F, G, A, B. The motif is the smallest building block in a composition. It is the igniting spark from which the rest of the piece develops. A motif is made of only a few notes and has a characteristic rhythm, which identifies it even as it changes. In order to further develop the basic musical idea, the motif, it must be varied. Many composers do without setting an exact tempo with metronome markings, and use the Italian tempo markings instead: largo, lento, grave, adagio, andante, andantino, allegretto, moderato, allegro, allegro molto, vivace, presto.
Nessun dormo.
E sempre misero.
In its present construction, the piccolo flute is but a smaller version of the transverse flute. That is, it is a wind instrument which is held perpendicularly across the body axis. Although piccolos used to be made out of wood, they are now made almost exclusively out of metal. They are 10 inches long and come apart into two pieces. In the Baroque era, the piccolo was forgotten, only to be rediscovered in the 19th century when it took its place next to the transverse C flute as a standard orchestral instrument. The mouthpiece consists of an oval hole covered by a smooth, protruding plate called the lip piece. The sound is created by streams of air, which break into whirls when directed towards a sharp edge. The piccolo flute is 1 octave higher than the C flute. The sound is piercing and penetrating. Because its sound is so exposed, the flute is a wind instrument, well known the world over, with a history dating back to at least the Stone Age. One differentiates between the end blown and the In the 19th century, the clarinet was viewed as the most important of the winds due to its dynamic range and its versatility. Bass clarinets belong to the woodwind family. They have a single reed and a hollow cylindrical tube of numerous sections. The bass clarinet has an angled-up metal bell. The mouthpiece rests on an S-shaped metal pipe. It is made of ebony, plexiglass, or synthetic materials. The oboe is a woodwind instrument. Early forms of this instrument made their way from the Near East and Egypt through Greece and The European name for bassoon is fagot, from the Italian fagotto, and means bundle. The instrument was so named because of its Bassoons belong to the woodwind family and consist of a tube made of maple wood bent 3. The name English horn is a misnomer, since the instrument is neither from England The trumpet is a brass instrument in soprano register, and it is made of cylindrical and conical tubes of brass or silver alloy. The trombone was the first brass instrument of the orchestra to be developed. The tuba belongs to the brass family and is made of a winding tube 12 to 18 feet. The French horn belongs to the brass family. The timpani, or kettle drum, is made out of a copper shell or bowl with a The harp is an instrument with an upright, three-cornered frame strung with strings without a bridge or fingerboard. The 46 to The pianoforte, piano for short, is a stringed keyboard instrument which is made of a sound system, a system of hammers, and a case. Pianos are built in two different forms. The grand The violin is the smallest member of the violin family and belongs to the so-called arm violin. The term viola describes an instrument which originates from the so-called The violoncello, or cello, is the tenor bass member of the violin family, and, dating back to the double bass is the largest string instrument of the orchestra. It normally has 4 strings